David and Goliath, the strength that comes from faith. The sun rose over the hills of Judah, illuminating the fields and tents scattered throughout the valley of Elah. The sound of drums and the clang of swords echoed among the mountains. Two armies prepared for battle. On one side were the Philistines, fierce and proud warriors. On the other, the people of Israel, led by King Saul. For 40 days, a terrifying figure emerged from the Philistine ranks to challenge Israel. His name was Goliath of Gath, a giant nearly 10 feet tall, covered in bronze armor that gleamed in the sun. He wielded a spear so large that its tip alone weighed more than an ordinary sword. Every day, Goliath shouted in a thunderous voice, "Choose a man to fight me. If he defeats me, we will be his servants. But if I defeat him, you will be our slaves." The army of Israel trembled. No soldier had the courage to face the giant. Even King Saul, the tallest of the men of Israel, hid inside his tent, fearing the challenge. Meanwhile, far away in Bethlehem, there lived a young shepherd named David. He was the youngest of 8 brothers and spent his days tending his father Jesse's sheep. David was not a warrior. He had no sword, armor, or fame, but he possessed something far more powerful, an unshakable faith in God. One day, Jesse asked David to take food to his brothers who were on the battlefield. Upon arriving at the camp, David heard Goliath's roar echoing through the valley. The young man watched the soldiers hiding in terror and felt his heart burn within him. "Who is this man to challenge the army of the living God?" he asked indignantly. The others mocked him. "You are just a boy. Go tend your sheep." But David did not remain silent. He believed that with God on his side, nothing was impossible. When King Saul heard of the brave young man, he sent for him. David stood before the king and said firmly, "Don't be afraid, my lord. I will fight this Philistine." Saul looked at the frail young man and replied, "You can't fight him. You're just a boy, and he's been a warrior since his youth." But David recounted his experiences as a shepherd. "When a lion or a bear attacked my sheep, I would face it and kill it. The same God who saved me from these beasts will deliver me from the hands of this giant." Convinced by the young man's faith, Saul gave him his own armor, but David could barely move with the weight. He took it all off and said, "I can't fight with this. God will give me strength." So David went down to the brook and chose 5 smooth stones, putting them in his shepherd's bag. In one hand, he held a sling, simple but deadly in the right hands. The battlefield fell silent as David approached. The Philistines laughed at the sight of the frail boy marching without armor, carrying only a staff and a sling. Goliath looked at him and mocked. "Am I a dog that you come against me with clubs? Come, and I will give your flesh to the birds of the air and to the beasts of the field." But David responded courageously, "You come against me with sword, spear, and shield, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of Israel, whom you have defied. This very day the Lord will deliver you into my hands, and everyone will know that it is not with sword or spear that the Lord saves, for the battle is the Lord's." Goliath charged, roaring. David ran toward him, took a stone from his bag, put it in his sling, and swung it in the air with all his might. The stone flew swiftly, cutting through the wind and struck the giant square in the forehead. Goliath took a step, staggered, and fell with a crash that shook the earth. A profound silence fell over the valley. Then the army of Israel erupted in shouts of victory. The terrified Philistines fled in despair. That day, a simple shepherd defeated a legendary warrior, not with strength nor with weapons, but with faith and courage. David showed the world that when God is with us, no giant is too great. And thus began the journey of the one who would, one day, become Israel's greatest king, King David, the man